Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 139, Nurturing a Secure Self. It's great having you with me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. My name is Violet Newby. I want you to know that when I was younger, I would have never described myself as insecure. In fact, people always tell me I was so hyper confident they were threatened by me. I wish I could tell you how many times I've heard that, which was pretty funny. In other words, I came on very strongly, but in actuality, some of that was because I was so insecure. How in the world do you raise a secure child? And how in the world do you gain security for yourself? So the challenge question for the day is, where do I sit on the security versus insecurity scale? In other words, if fully secure was 10 and terribly insecure was 1, where would you sit? 5, 6, that would be kind of the middle of the road. Where do you sit on that scale? Even better yet, where does your child sit? Do you have any idea? And do you know why? Okay, let's go. Oftentimes, human beings are born insecure. I definitely had one of those. He just wasn't very self-assured. He wasn't self-confident. He didn't have much of a strong sense of himself. I will acknowledge to you, I had a really difficult pregnancy when I was pregnant with him. I don't know, maybe that contributed. I've done enough study to understand that what goes on with the mom emotionally when a baby is in utero definitely affects them, and sometimes continues to affect them for a lot of their life. It is undeniable that that happens. Maybe that was some of it. Some of it is personality type. He's a lot more laid back, relaxed, mellow kind of a person. And so he was a lot more introspective, and maybe that contributed to some elements of his insecurity. There are lots of factors. But I will say this, when a child has a stable, consistent, dependable, reliable parent and a reasonably stable environment, it contributes to their security, including their internal security, their sense of themselves. But I've seen and counseled a ton of people who had great homes, good parents, good families, a secure and stable environment. They were still horrifically insecure. So just having a stable, secure environment doesn't guarantee that you're going to have a secure person. And you want your child to be as secure as possible. Let's talk about a few things you can do about this. First of all, notice if you have a horrifically insecure child. You'll hear things like, I'm so ugly, I'm so stupid, I'm not as fast as everyone else, I'm not as pretty as everyone else, I'm not as good as everyone else. There's a big one right there. That might mean that you've been criticizing them a lot, or someone has, or that they have a really personally critical spirit and they're always on their own case a lot. You need to notice that, and you need to handle that right away. You need to say to them, you are absolutely beautiful. If you have a handicapped child, I had a student, he was missing an arm. He had an amniotic band, and he was never born with one. He had a hand, but not an arm. His hand was right here, and it was somewhat deformed. And he always used to say to me, Miss Newby, I'm this and I'm that. And I said, that's a complete lie. You have one small problem, but that's all. And all of us have problems. Some people in this room have much bigger problems than you do, my friend. And so I'd say, no, don't use that as an excuse. In fact, you're a beautiful person. You're very capable of a lot of things, and that's where you need to focus. You need to have that same discussion with your child. Just because you can't blank doesn't make you a less than kind of a person. Not at all. Believe you me about this. And so you foster security in them by helping them notice what is good in them and what is best in them and what is admirable, what you appreciate. You really have to speak into their life. Those words of affirmation, encouragement, and support make a massive amount of difference in an insecure child. Another thing is when they do the whole, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm bad at this, you find out what they are really good at, and you have them do it over and over again. And you say to them, you're amazing at this, because that builds a secure foundation for them, from which they can go on and venture into other kinds of things that, though they're not great at it in the beginning, you can say to them, I'm pretty sure that with work and time, you can get good at this. And you know what? Even if you don't, if you're having fun, if this is really something that you're enjoying, it's worth it. Even if you're not the world's best, if you're really loving it, it's worth it. And so you foster security in them. You foster security in them by talking to them about who they really are. Now, let me tell you, you can look at a young woman and tell her, you're just beautiful. You're so beautiful. You can do it so often, they can go to the side of conceit. That isn't where you want to go. You just want to go to security. And so you have to pay attention about, are they starting to really get puffed up and, hey, I'm like the most beautiful woman in the room and I could get any guy I wanted, and you, man, you're just like dog ugly. I've really literally seen young women, 15, 16, like that, because their parents went so overboard about their appearance. This is the way I address my sons, and even the way I address my grandsons as well. You are really a lovely person. You are beautifully formed. A couple of my one son and my one grandson are incredibly nice looking human beings. And I have a brother also that was really handsome as a young man. It's like, you are really beautifully formed. You are really lovely. You definitely have nice features and great hair and whatever else. But you know what? If you got to choose between being great looking and a great human, which one would you choose? Now, my grandson, when he was a little boy, and he really meant it, he said, well, I'd be handsome. And I said, well, you know what? You could get into a car accident at any time and be disfigured. Or you could get in a horrible accident, bungee cord jumping with your neck broken and never walk again, and your body would change. But who you are, your character, the depths of you as a person, that's never going to change no matter what. I know, Granny, but I'd rather be handsome. Well, today, now that he's older and wiser, though he'll joke, he'll go, I'd rather be handsome. And he knows he's kidding around. Then he'll go, I know, Granny, I know. I really would rather be a great person. And you help put that in perspective for your child. And again, it gives them great security because you have control over the one and no control over the other. And let's be real, not everybody in the world is beautiful. I should know. I've really seen tens of thousands. Actually, I think I've seen probably hundreds of thousands of people around this globe. Not everyone is equally beautiful or attractive, but everyone has parts of beauty that are in them. You can bring those parts of beauty out as a parent and appreciate them. And especially if those are issues of character, parts of their mind, portions of their creativity in their nature, those are awesome things that no one's going to take away from them. And so build on those very permanent things, and you will establish security in your child's life. As we all know, we cannot give away, we can seldom teach what we do not have and what we do not know. And so if you yourself are pretty insecure, you can do self-care. I'm not kidding. This is what happened to me. I didn't have anyone else speaking a lot of truth over my life, even as an adult. I can honestly say that. And I learned to speak it to myself. One of the books I really loved was a book called Telling Yourself the Truth. You may feel free to look it up online. It's very old and it's difficult to obtain, but it's very worth it. And it said, especially if you've heard a lot of lies, you're so ugly, you're so stupid, which I heard much of my life, far too much of my life. No one will ever love you. No one will ever want you. Wow, that was insane, okay? But that's the messages that these unkind, insecure people around me, critical people, constantly gave to me. Oh, and I believed it. I had to learn to say to myself, actually, Violet, you are a very attractive person. You're a very kind person. You have a great mind, and you're a very sweet person. And you know what? Over time, I started to believe what actually was the truth. The parts of me that weren't very good. I was extremely critical. I could be so harsh. Any of you who have known me for 30 or 40 years can vouchsafe for that. And I learned how to speak to myself like this. I am becoming gentle in my speech. I am becoming gracious. I am becoming kinder. I am becoming more patient. Those kinds of words of affirmation from my own mouth to my own ears out loud really built a secure foundation into my life. You can teach your children affirmations as well. I am a kind person. I am a generous person. I am a thoughtful person. I am a person who is good to others, even when they are not good to me. I would never exceed 4 or 5 sincere affirmations for a child. But you know what? If you give them 4 or 5 affirmations at different developmental stages, in other words, maybe every 2 to 3 years throughout their childhood, by the time they're an adult, they've already got probably 30, 35 strong affirmations in their arsenal. And all of those things contribute to their security as an individual. Isn't it great that as parents, we have the privilege of helping our children develop as stable, secure, emotionally healthy human beings? I have to tell you, it's like one of the greatest joys of my life to have raised amazing, strong, healthy, still continuing to grow men. That really is who my sons are. I can't even tell you how proud I am of them, of the things we learn together as we have gone along, of the fact that I'm still learning and they still love me enough that they're willing to listen to me and the things I'm learning and the ways I'm growing. Wow, I don't know anything better in life than my relationship to my children, because I actually had something to do with who they are now and the way that we relate to each other. Dad, Mom, I am inviting you with all the sincerity in my heart to nurture your child so that he or she can be the most secure person, the most stable and emotionally healthy person that they could possibly be. You can have such a big part in that. And so I hope that you take this to heart. I hope that you are willing to work on this, on your own personal security as a human being, and on establishing security and stability in your child's inner life, so that when he or she grows up, they are just a beautiful human being that you can feel proud of and that they can have a really rich life. It is possible. It truly is. I want to thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. I will really look forward to seeing you again very soon. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.